his people are going to do that. And because once they start feeling that sting, we looking at Game of Thrones. I mean, we looking at Jaime Lannister. Welcome to PTG TV. This is your host, Antonio Hicks. And I'm trying to understand something. Is this truly what you MAGA people wanted? Like, is this truly what you wanted? A mad king?
Tariffs don't cause inflation, they cause success. Cause big success. So we're going to have great success. There could be some temporary short-term disruption, and people will understand that.
I can understand when you start talking about you want to have food prices reduced because the economy to you, and I can agree that to a degree that the economy was just out is unstable right now. We can flaunt about so-called jobs being created, but are they livable wage paying jobs? We can talk about prices when it comes to food and stuff, even though they're price gouging as far as the corporations and stuff goes, because they've already said that they've raised prices for record profit because it was having record profits, and they continue to raise prices. You could talk about the housing crisis. I mean, this is some things I talk about on my platform all the time, that houses are extremely expensive nowadays, so much so that you can't even get a starter home anymore when you're trying to build your family because they're so expensive. Like, you need to be making six figures and above to afford these houses. I mean, houses now starting off at $350,000 to $400,000. And if you do find a cheaper home, it's either dilapidated to where you have to do it's a fixer upper, and or you have to look at what part of town it's in and what conditions you willing to live in for a cheaper home. And also, how far are you willing to move out? And that's not even the case anymore nowadays, because if you even like where I live at, I'm 45 minutes outside of a major city, meaning that if I want the work that I do, if I ever had to go into the office, it would take me an hour and 10 minutes to even get to that. So, and even where I'm at, houses starting around $400,000 and above. So you're talking about going out even further, it's going to distance you away from where, I guess you could say, livable wage paying jobs would necessarily be at, unless you're working for some plants, because you do have a lot of major plants out here. But anyway, these are the things that they said they weren't getting from Biden. And to a degree I can get, because we weren't passing any regulations when it came to the housing crisis, and we were allowing these developers just to do, and investors to do whatever the hell they want to do. And the local government wasn't doing anything either. But nobody talks about that because nobody cares about local government, even though they should, because that's the people that control what happens in your house every day. But you voted this clown in to help you out and reduce prices, and say your purse was being squeezed hard at the grocery store. And yet this man proceeds to put us on a trade war with three of our neighbors. Well, China's not necessarily a neighbor of ours, but you starting a trade war with Canada, bringing everything up to charging 25% on tariffs and then 25% on Mexico. And then you want to do the same thing with China. And what's asinine to me, you've all heard me talk about this in my previous videos, to where you want to put tariffs on China, but everything that we create and produce, we do it in China. And I could argue, to a degree, I think we should have our manufacturing back over here. But you know why they sent our manufacturing overseas? For cheap labor. You know why they bring people over here? For cheap labor. So it's like, you could produce those products here in the U.S., but because of greed and strong capitalism, and I'm for capitalism. I have a small business that I run that I'm trying to create to a major corporation. I want to get paid for it too, because I'm building it up. But I'm not to the point to where I would displace my workers and not fairly pay my workers. And that's because I come from a union household, and I understand what it means to take care. I mean, and I used to be in management and leadership executive for a while too. And I understand what it means to take care of your people. And I think we should bring a lot of those jobs back over here to y'all. I've heard me talk about in my previous video about H-1B visa stuff. I'm like, it's not a racist thing against them. I just think that we should have more Americans working before we start bringing other people into this country. And if you want to talk about skills, well, then let's get these people over here in the U.S. trained up on the job to get them to be where we want them to be without outsourcing and bringing anybody in. So I can agree with that to a degree. But when you put in tariffs on major countries, and a lot of our goods are made in that major country for cheap labor, how asinine is that? And he's even said it, That are we in one of his own posts on True Social? That are we going to feel pain when Trudeau did his countermeasure? He said absolutely, but for the in the long run, it's going to work out for us best. I'm trying to understand how this is possible. I'm trying to understand how in the long run this is going to work out for us best. And the things that this man is doing right now, it's like it's so much. He's doing so much that he's flooding the market as far as his activist goes with things to react to, and it's reactionary stuff until people come back and tell him that things should not be happening, such as Elon Musk going in to overtake the OPM and saying that he's not pushing out anything else on the USA. This is not even an elected official. Like, this man hasn't been appointed to office. He has no security clearances. And then the people that will govern him and control that, 47 has shut down those parts of the government and have yet to even fill those positions for people that will ultimately bow down and take the knee to him. So, and these people, y'all know I'm a security guy. I'm a network security engineer by trade. For them to come into their office that controls your Social Security, controls your Medicaid, has actually it's a treasury to come in and then input their own devices into a local network. That is a security vulnerability. And it's amazing to me how nobody on MAGA side is talking about that. They're always talking about security. And then you look at these kids that got in there, you worry so much about immigrants or people not from this country doing things to our system. And if you look at these tech bros, and I'm a tech bro, you look at these tech bros that's coming in there, they don't look like regular American people. And I guess you argue, well, what's a regular American person? In my opinion, a regular American person can be a diverse group of people because it was diverse when these people came and colonized this country. But in their eyes, is white people. And I'm just going to put it plainly there, is that it's considered to be white people. Anybody outside of white is not smart enough and should not be allowed in certain positions, which a whole DEI argument they're always talking about. And it's crazy that they aren't speaking out against that. This man came in literally this is not just affecting black people. Like, literally, this is the Social Security and Medicaid that everybody alike gets money from. And that's the other thing, Medicare. And that's the other thing that gets me about when he froze the funding. He froze the funding and it affected people's Medicaid. It affected my parents' Medicaid. My parents couldn't even get medication. And now the cost of my dad's insulin has spiked up too since he struck down Biden's executive order to make drug pricing fair. Like, my dad's insulin went from $4.50 before Biden implemented this to $50 a month to now is up to $600 a month just for his insulin, for him to survive, for my father to survive. And then when this man froze funding and it caused Medicaid systems to not pay out, my parents couldn't even get their medication. And I sit the people that's around me, the groups and stuff that I volunteer with, they're talking about, well, even Charles Emblo. I love Charles Emblo and his political standpoints and his speaking on things and on certain issues, all issues. And he's like, we shouldn't necessarily shut out people that may come back. And people in my group was like, well, we should try to understand and find, the middle ground of where we both agree on certain things. And I'm like, I can't do that. Like, I honestly can't do that. I can be the Christian that God asked me to be and forgive people, but I can't find a middle ground with you when you're actually supporting a racist. And then when you're doing things that actually harming my family, there's no middle ground for me to find with somebody like that. Because if I'm talking to you and you're telling me you're supporting him and everything he's doing, and I know it's harming my family, it's like I might get violent. And therefore, I was like, I can't put myself in front of people like that. Me personally, I just can't do that. And so, and then when you look at the things that this man has done and the tragedy that's already taken place, God rest their souls too, from the 2 plane crashes that we've had. Not to say that the other one the last one could have been any better plane. I think it crashed in Illinois. Or it was somewhere. It crashed somewhere. And it just dropped out of the sky. It was a medevac plane. I can't blame it on 47. Like, he had any control over it. And they just had another fire break out in the United Airlines plane too, just recently. The first one, though, I partially can because we don't have we don't have an FAA administrator. And then the person that was on staff that night at the towers, there should have been 2 people there, but there's only one. So, I can fault him to a degree on that. I really can fault the helicopter pilot, the Black Hawk helicopter pilot. Like, your eyes should be able to see this plane flying in on the left-hand side of you. And again, God rest their souls, and I pray for both the families out of both of them. But if I want to put true fault, I can put fault on 47 and on the helicopter pilot for flying in the path of that plane. Like I said, when I look at this guy, it's just so. I mean, it was so much news last time, and to a point where I'm almost like it. You got what you asked for. Like when it really starts harming people, like the one guy that voted for him in Florida, and then his wife got deported.
Up in there, did whatever they wanted. They turned off the cameras. Excuse my language, and then they took my wife.
This man, who wished not to be identified, says his wife is from Venezuela and has lived in the United States for a few years. She was one of 3 people taken from this home.
And I'm like, well, what did you think was going to happen? Like, this guy told you literally what he was going to do the minute he got into office. And it's like, what did you think was going to happen once he got into office? I mean, you thought he was just lying. Like, a lot of people believe that it was just him just saying stuff just to get people riled up and to show up to the polls. No, this man literally did everything, or doing everything that he said he was going to do in that Project 2025 book that he said he didn't know anything about. And he's checking off the list in that book, from laying federal workers off and replacing them with loyalists, to casting out, trying to get rid of Social Security. I mean, he's doing everything that he said he was going to do, or the people that wrote the book said he was going to do and have him do once he got into office. And I'm trying to understand, how do black people keep catching strays? Like, we're literally over here minding our business. We're not doing nothing to nobody. I mean, outside of us voting against him. I think he took some offense to that. But we just keep catching strays, from him talking about the plane crash due to DEI, to the fires out in California that was due to DEI. And I'm like, I'm sorry. This is a natural disaster. I mean, outside of the power lines being out there having sparks and hitting dry brush, this is a natural disaster. How are you blaming? You talking about DEI? Because of DEI, when you say DEI, he's referring to black people and minority, black and brown people. That is our fault. These things are happening. I don't care how you paint it. Like, even with the airplane crash and him saying DEI, I'm like, I'm sorry. The person that was flying the plane was white. The helicopter pilot was white. We don't know who the worker was in the tower. And we shouldn't know. And even with that, the person notified the helicopter pilot that there was a plane in his line of view, and twice. And the helicopter pilot didn't regard it at all. And, you see what happened. But still, I'm like, how is that? How do we keep catching strays? And I'm like, and this is the thing when people say, well, when I talk to black people, and I'm specifically talking about race on this. When he talked to black people, they said, well, you say he's a racist. How's he racist? This is clearly how this man is a racist. I'm like, I can give you a number of times of how this man has been racist towards black people. But I'm like, this right here alone, his actions recently shows how he's a racist. Attacking Black History Month. Now wanting to celebrate Martin Luther King Day. Now, you can say that because in his recent post, in White House post, he congratulated black people that he believes to be influential. He's ordered the federal government not to even celebrate any of these things, even though the Pentagon released a statement. I had to get mad at some black people because they didn't read the statement clearly. They would still celebrate Juneteenth and they would celebrate Black History Month. But still, some other federal organizations were told not to celebrate Black History Month. And I'm like, this in Black history. I mean, he ordered to have the Tuskegee Airmen, their flights being, their lessons being taught about them removed from the school systems in the military. So tell me, so this is my argument to people black people that support him. I'm like, tell me again how this man is not racist when his actions show you that he is racist. So now because I'm not gonna make this episode too long. What is there to do? Or what can you do? I think that's the biggest question that's been happening right now. Because we can get on these podcasts and we can get on these shows and we can rant about the things that he's doing and how it's going to affect, especially in this trade war. And food prices are going to go up. Gasoline is going to go up. I mean, because you can say we have gas in our country. We do. But I'm like, it takes time to process all this stuff and take crude oil and make it into gasoline. And it's going to affect us. And the question again, like I said before, is like, what can we do? Honestly speaking, some of the things me personally, I'm not going to do. You can get out there, you participate in protests and marches. Like, there's a ton of protests and marches going on right now, especially with ICE going around just snatching up immigrants from everywhere, even though it's supposed to go on after violent offenders. But they said because you came into this country, you considered an illegal, and you broke the law, so they're going to come after you. So there's protests going around about that. Even Bernie was like, get out and go to the streets, almost like this is the modern age civil rights movement. You can call your local officials and let them know that, either you stop him from it affecting us locally, or we're going to run you out, which, and I'll get to in a second, and or call your house, your congressman or your senators, and voice your opinions to them, flood their voicemails up, and let them know where you stand when it comes to issues. But so my feeling on it is somebody's actually active in it, and I'm not just some little influencer that's not doing anything. Y'all actually seen me out. I do get out into the streets. I get out and knock on doors. I do, like I said, voter registration drives. I help out candidates every now and then. I'm somebody's active. I'm truly active in this right now. I'm not participating in the protests. I mean, we did everything that we could last year, the year before last, the past 2 years, to make people aware of and what this guy was capable of, and people just didn't want to listen. And it's going to affect a lot of it. It's going to affect me too. And my point is, it's like I almost want to see the system crash. I want to see it anyway, if Biden didn't drop out, but it's going to affect all of us to a degree. I'm not believing that because I don't operate in them kind of beliefs. And I've been getting blessed so far this year alone. And I'm not wishing any of those things, but it's to the point to where those are things that we should be doing, actively should be doing. Like, especially if you didn't vote, you should be out there doing it. But that's the reason why I'm frustrated, because we had 36% of people across this country that are registered voters didn't get out to vote. And their ultimate was the one that put this man in place. Do I think this man had something to do with the systems being hacked? And well, it's conspiratorial stuff. Yes, I think to a degree, Elon Musk had something to do with voting machines being the machines being manipulated. I can't say the algorithm because I don't think it shouldn't be an algorithm associated with them. But the machines being manipulated, I do think Elon Musk had something to do with it. But at the end of the day, too, though, whether he did or not, we still had 36% of people didn't show up to vote. Like they didn't show up to vote. And I met a lot of people that say they weren't showing up to vote. So it's like you can argue, oh, well, maybe he purged them out of the system. No, we would see purge. Like we would see purges. And people would know I guess it wouldn't if they didn't follow back up on it. But we would know, we would see purges. People didn't show up to vote. Like they really didn't show up to vote. They thought that Kamala had enough people showing up because of her popularity that she would get it. And they didn't want to be involved in it. But I was like, you didn't look at the numbers from last time and how close it was last time to care about why, if you don't show up, what that would actually mean. So I think we at the F around and find out phase, and it's going to hurt his people more because his people take more in SNAP than than black folks. Like they always talk about black people and us getting handouts. They take more in SNAP than black folks. Red states typically pull more from other blue states when it comes to needing resources. So not Georgia. Georgia's been pretty good because we got a booming economy here, but it's not from red people. It's not from people on the MAGA side. It's from actual people on the blue side. So that's why Georgia's purple. But when it comes to the governing body, it's red. But it's because we do generate a lot of income here from the media industry, from tech industry, everything that we have here in the state of Georgia, and manufacturing and stuff too. So we're doing good here. That's why I say to a degree, it's not going to affect me in the industry that I work in. But it's going to affect people. And I'm not trying to say that with a cold heart because it is going to affect people's lives. But if you're mad about it, that's what you got to do. That's what we're being instructed to do. That's what you have to do. You have to make those phone calls and let people know. You have to show up to town halls if they're having town halls. There's another thing too. Some of them don't even have town halls. You have to show up to town halls if they're having town halls. You have to talk to your local people. You need to talk to your local commissioners. You need to talk to your local people, period, anyway, to make sure that they're not allowing some of this stuff to take place, again, locally. You need to talk to your governors to make sure, and your mayors. So those are things that you can do, and you can actively get out and protest, cause highway shutdowns, to cause disruption and stuff. Even though he said that he's going to start sicking the military after protesters, those are things that you should be doing if you're looking to do anything at all. And if you were not active, I encourage you to be active and actually show up and show out. Me personally, and some of the other people that I talked to that were active, we're not doing that. And you can say, well, this is the time that we should not be sitting. I'm not sitting down. I'm not saying I'm not going to be doing anything, but I'm not doing that. Like I'm not doing it. I'm not getting my hands. There was a recent protest to protest ICE. It was a couple of days ago. Or whenever you see this, it was in the first part of January, January 1st. February 1st. There was active protests going on across 3 different places here. So, 3 different places here in Georgia. I think across the country too, but I know specifically different places here in Georgia because we were talking about it in our group and people showing up there and they're talking about doing staging, sitting and stuff at the Capitol. And of course, I'm revealing secrets, but this is going to happen because ultimately, at the end of the day, though, his own people, going to actually start doing stuff too. Now, those are the ones that I think he should be concerned about when it comes to people doing crazy stuff. We don't do crazy stuff like that. To a degree, I think we should, but we don't do crazy stuff like that. His people are going to do that, and because once they start feeling that sting. We looking at Game of Thrones. I mean, we looking at Jaime Lannister.
He loved to watch people burn. He burned lords he didn't like. He burned hands who disobeyed him. He burned anyone who was against him. Before long, half the country was against him. So he had his pyromancers caches of wildfire all over the city. Arrows of traitors everywhere.
Or looking at the Mad King and something. And I'm not even going to say it. We were looking at Game of Thrones stuff here. Once his people really start getting pissed off, and it hit home for them because they're not going to want to believe he caused us up. Because I say that because they're going to go through some stages of disappointment to where they're going to blame Biden, and then they're going to turn around and blame Obama. Like, oh boy, blamed Obama about the FFA stuff. I was like, bro, weren't you in office? Like, didn't you come into office after Obama? I'm like, I'm sorry. You had office first. You came in office beforehand. You had it for 4 years. So I was like, how are you blaming something on Obama? Again, we keep catching strays. You blaming something on Obama when you was in office after him. So once they get through those stages of grief, they're ultimately going to come down to, is the person right now that is just, he got his death note in his hand and he is just signing the hell out of that book. And if y'all don't know who Death Note is, it's an anime. Y'all need to look it up too. But that's what it's going to come down to. So get up, get active, be present, knock on doors, get in this is me just telling you all this, be in protest. If you have done this before and you've been doing this and you've been politically active, I'm asking you to sit certain things out. You should get a break too, and we should be entitled to sit things out. Do regular stuff. I'm still going to do voter registration stuff. I'm still going to canvas a little bit to talk about policy, local policies and things of that nature. But to get out and stage protests and be a part of protests, like some couple of protests I'm part of, I'm not doing that at all. So thank y'all for tuning in this episode. I may do daily stuff now because there's so much stuff coming out and I can do some short form content, but y'all let me know, would y'all be interested in some more short form content? Because I'm like, right now, this probably like be around 25 minutes. I can do stuff for like 9 minutes, talk about little stuff that he's doing. Local and federal. Well, local would probably be locally as far as Georgia goes, because we do talk about a lot of local stuff here in Georgia, but and federal stuff. And of course, technology too, because I mean, we got DeepSeek out here now. I did post an episode about that. But yeah, y'all let me know in the comments. I mean, would y'all be interested in more short form content about stuff? Because I mean, this dude's pushing out so much content. It is crazy. Like, it is madness, the amount of content this man is pushing out for people to talk about. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's just going to be the trials and tribulations of 47. The end times. We are living through the end times of 47. So, yeah, let's talk about it below. Like, how do y'all feel? Like, how are y'all going to get active? If you're going to be active at all. And if you say, I'm curious to know, if you set this out and typically, you don't know people who their names are anyway in the comment section. If you set this out, I'm curious to know, how do you feel about what he's doing right now? And do you have any regrets? Like, do you have any regrets? Because a lot of people now that supported him, I don't think they have regrets. They regret that things have happened to them, because it was a social media influencer. Her husband got deported, and she's a starch strong was 45 MAGA person, and her husband got deported because he was right on the verge of getting his citizenship. And the verge and getting it is two different things. And he got taken out, and she had felt some disappointment in that. But she still wasn't blaming Trump. She was blaming Biden. And I'm like, how are you blaming Biden when this man is sick in ICE, like what, on like dogs, on people having ICE even break laws, trying to kick in people's doors when they have no governing policy or police presence to kick in people's doors. But yes, anyway, so if you didn't vote, and how are you feeling now? Let's talk about it below. And tell me whether or not you agree with me or not. Or do you agree that people like me should sit out? If all of us activists has been doing stuff, do you agree with that? So anyway, thank y'all for tuning in to this episode. I'm going to post more. I am going to post more. I am back streaming though. So I am streaming every Tuesday, Wednesday. I didn't do Thursday last week because I had to do some, again, my parents, because of this whole stuff right here, go do some with my parents. But I'm streaming every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 8:30 across all platforms. Well, not all platforms. I ain't on TikTok no more. But yep, y'all can find me on there. I'm back to streaming on this main channel because I need to give this main channel some more love because I had taken 3 months off due to my sister-in-law's death. So I'm putting the work back in on this channel because I think because y'all supported me and y'all was here for me, I need to give y'all that respect. And then welcome to all my new people that's checking out my videos. Even though you might not follow, you're checking out my videos. I appreciate you checking out my videos. I will ask though, if you like this, if you like the content I'm giving, I'm technically almost a new face to this because y'all have y'all Brian Tyler Cohen's and some of the other people out there, the Midas Touch that y'all watch. It's everybody's giving the same form of content. But if you like this content, you like the way I'm delivering it, I'm asking that you give it a subscribe because I do talk about tech stuff too. So it's not wholly about politics. I do talk about tech stuff and I do play some video games. So I think we all need a detox. And I think that we need to have a place to where we can do all of those things, which is the same as my business. We can do all of those things together as a family so we can talk politics and then we can just kick back, laugh about it. It is what it is, and have a drink and just have some fun. And then, when something crazy come up, we can get back on it again and just talk about technology. So I try to be a roundabout person and keep it to where we can talk about heavy things, but let's talk about other stuff that can affect us when it comes to tech-related things and to new technology stuff that's coming out. Because I'm a nerd, and I think nerds have a place to get their political stuff, but also let's nerd out as well too, and let's have some fun playing some games. Because generally, when it comes to game discussions, I'm talking about the game of life, not necessarily gaming content. It's the game of life and what affects us throughout our daily lives. From mental health to finances, all those things that I'm talking when it comes to what's going to change us and then how we perceive things and then ultimately how we show up to vote. But I'm also going to play some video games too because it's my way of disconnecting and unwinding. And I think that if we have it in one place, you can get it from one person. I think it's great to do that. And everything is not so heavy all the time. So if you like all of that, I'm asking you again to like, subscribe, comment down below. It helps the channel. And I'm asking you to welcome me into your space when it comes to political news and political discussions. Because again, I'm a former congressional candidate here in Georgia. I'm a former elected post seat holder. I had to move out of the county I was in. Post seat holder. I am an activist. I truly am an activist. I get out in these streets and do stuff. Not 100% the hardcore holding signs at rallies and protests. I'm not to that degree, and I was for a little bit, but I'm not to that degree anymore. But I try to be engaged, I try to be involved, and that's who I am, which is why I like talking about all three of these topics. So again, if you like it, I'm gonna keep. I know y'all like, will you shut the hell up and close this down? But again, if y'all like this, I ask y'all to like and subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so when I do post content, you'll get notified about it. And then tune into my streams because even though I may be playing some video games, I'm still open to discussion to talk about things that's affecting you in your daily life. And when it comes to political stuff and when it comes to policies, because I'm a big person of going to congress.gov to see what new bills are coming out and who's sponsoring them. So love you all. Be safe out there. Make sure y'all follow me across all platforms. Some things I'm pulling away from. I'm going to stay on Meta for a little bit, even though I should pull away from it. I'm still up in the air about TikTok. I'm signing into Fanbase. I'm on Bigo Live now. Bigo Live is just you going live. Like there is no posting content on there. It's just ultimately you going live. So if y'all on the Bigo app, if you're not getting on the Bigo app, because when I stream, I do stream on Bigo as well too. And it's not uploading any content to it. It's just me going live and having a discussion, and then sometimes playing video games too on Bigo Live. And I'm signing up. I think I said I signed up for Fanbase, and I'm on Fanbase, and I'm on Blue Sky as well too. So follow me across all of my social media platforms. Outside of Twitter, I am not on Twitter anymore, and I'm like I said, I'm still up in there about TikTok. So love you all. Make sure y'all take y'all L's every day. Live for things that you have no control over. Laugh about the things. Live for today. I'm having a brain fart. Live for today, because tomorrow's not promised. Laugh about things that you have no control over, and lead with your heart. Because I think if you lead with your heart and you put the energy out there, that's what God is going to bless you back with in return. So y'all be safe out there. Love you all. For y'all non-active people, get active. And for y'all active people, chill out for a little bit. Don't do as much. Take a breather this couple of years. And we'll talk on the back end as far as hard work goes.